It's the book of Psalms, chapter 34, verse 17. The righteous cry, and the Lord Yahweh heareth, and delivered them out of all their troubles. The Lord Yahweh is nigh unto them that are of a broken heart, and saveth such as be of a contrite spirit. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord Yahweh delivered them out of them all. All right, before I get started on this lesson, I want to give all praises, glory, infinite honors unto Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rakakwadash, and double honors once again to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Taught me the truth and rule well in peace. Blessings and salutations be to those elect, as well as those that believe in the gospel and may endure to the end, Lord willing. All right, and I just want to get into a quick lesson today. All right, on crying unto the Lord. All right, praying unto the Lord Yahweh. You see, because as I just read in the book of Psalms, the 34th chapter, verse 17 through 19, it gives you an in-depth analysis, all right, on what the Lord does when you cry out to him. All right, now when you go to Psalms 55, okay, we're gonna come back to that real fast. I think it's 22. It's the book of Psalms chapter 55 and verse 22. It says, cast thy burden upon the Lord Yahweh, and he shall sustain thee, and he shall never suffer the righteous to be moved. All right, so a part of casting our burdens, all right, on Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai is praying, all right, making supplications, you know, giving your situation to the Lord, man. Whatever you're going through, whatever you're battling with, you know, just give it to just cast your burden on the Lord, man. All right, and he's going to do what? Sustain you. All right, he's going to give you the comfort. All right, he's going to build your faith up, you know, and at the end of the day, he'll give you a faith booster, something that you prayed for, you know, and it'll wind up happening, man, you know. So, you know, don't be forgetful to pray, okay, especially when you're not going through things, right? Because that makes your relationship with the Lord so much better, you know. So when you are going through things, you know, oh, this servant, you know, man, this servant, you know, he always praying to me. So when you're afflicted in doing such things, you know, it'll be easy. Why? Because you have established a relationship with the Lord already, right? So that's why you can't be forgetful to pray, all right? Cast your burdens upon Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai. All right, now let's go back to Psalms 34. You know, this, you know, you can read this whole chapter, all right, because it goes into how the Lord is, you know, always going to be there, basically, for the elect, all right. Now I'll read it again. It says, the righteous cry, and the Lord heareth, and delivered them out of all their troubles. So all the things that afflict us, you know, afflict our souls, you know, whether, you know, health issues, right, issues with a job, a car, family, you know, all of these things, you know, like I said, all of these diverse temptations that we go through, all right, it's a method to solving them, all right, which is through the spirit and power of Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai. Through what? Through prayer, okay? Now, there's several ways that we can pray, right? You have your, the standard way, Yahweh Shai taught us, right, to going into a secret place, you know. You can pray in your head, you can pray in your car, your closet, right? There's so many opportunities and avenues to pray that there's nowhere in the world that we should not be praying, all right? Especially as men of the Lord, okay? Praying for the destruction of Babylon, you know, praying for the deliverance of the elect, you know, and everything that goes in between, you see? We should always be praying, all right? Let me get Luke. I was going to end it off with this one, but I'm going to get it right now. All right. So this is a book of Luke, chapter 21, verse 36. It says, watch ye therefore and pray always, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man. You see? So it tells you to do what? Watch ye therefore and pray always. All right. The scriptures always tell you to pray without ceasing. All right. Why? Because you have the archangel Raphael, all right, or Raphael, you know, who his which means healing or to heal, you know, his sole purpose is to do what? Present, you know, the prayers of the saints. All right. I might have to get that in Revelation. All right, that's a good one. In Acts 12:5, you know, when Peter was bound in the prison, you know. That's what I wanted to get. Well, it mentions it here, 1 Thessalonians 5:17, straight to the point. It tells you to pray without ceasing. All right, ceasing that means what? To stop. If you cease to do something, that means you stop doing it. So it says pray, you know, and don't stop praying, right? At verse 18, it says, in everything, give thanks, for this is the will of the Most High in Hamashiach Yahushua concerning you. All right. It says, and that's cool, you know. There was another one I was looking for, though. Let me see what this one says. Salaki, I should have looked this one up. It's a certain one I'm looking for. Damn, bro. It's all good, but, you know, honestly, obviously, you know, we ought to pray without ceasing, all right? You know, and that just puts our belief, that maxes out our faith to a whole nother level when these things that we pray for, you know, ultimately come true, you see? Now, let me go back to the Luke. So this back in Luke 21:36, it says, watch ye therefore and pray always, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape all these things. All right, but the key point is what? Praying always, and, you know, praying for the strength to endure, praying to be able to get through Jacob's trouble, right? Just like we got the understanding earlier of we understand, you know, Lord willing, we be a part of that number that the Lord is with, you know, his men, the elect men, women, and children that are destined for salvation, right? But you still have to play your part, play your role, all right, in praying and believing, okay? Now, there's another one. So like you're kind of having a brain fart. Let's do this. We'll get this one out of the way. 2 Corinthians. Oh, that's what I wanted to get. It's the book of Isaiah. All right. Chapter 26 and verse 3. It says, thou will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusted in thee. You see? So a part of, you know, when you go into that word trust, a credit, you know, I believe they go hand in hand. All right. Just like a bank, they loan you more money. Why? Because they trust that you're going to pay it back. All right. So just like a bank would, you know, the Lord is going to loan us more faith. You see? Why? Because he trusts that our faith is going to be built up even more after, you know, we win, you know, these certain battles and situations and things that we go through. You see? So that's why it says it will keep thee in perfect peace. Why? Because his mind stayed on thee. Because he trusted in thee. You see? So it's not no way around, you know, not praying, man. All right? It ultimately builds your relationship up with Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. All right? And it ultimately boosts your faith when the things that you pray for, you know, come true. All right? Or you actually witness them come true. You see? Like, man, I pray for this, bro. You know, and it's a feeling of it's a surreal feeling, you know. Actually, you know, seeing these things come true, man. All right. And it done been multiple things, you know. I done been sneezing too many times on a lesson, and I done prayed to the Lord, and I stopped sneezing for the rest of the lesson, man. You know, it could be simple things just as that, right? But why? We have to exercise prayer because it is, you know, a form of spiritual powers. All right. But that's pretty much the point, man. I'm not gonna hop in on it too much. Just be not forgetful to pray, man. All right. Pray without ceasing. Fast and pray. All right. These things that we Israelites, man. These things that we did in our previous lives. These things that we were commanded to do. All right. So, with that, man, we give all praises, glory, and honors to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushua, Ba'ashim Rakakwadash, and Shalom, Rabarakim, Allah Bakarim, and Shalom.